Hello there and welcome back to another Luminar NEO tutorial. In today's video, I'm gonna show you everything you need to know about using the Edits tab in the editing module. We will go through all the different functions, we will look at the settings for RAW and JPEG, as well as the benefits of using this great part of the editing module for your own benefit. So if you're ready, we are starting now. Okay, so we are already in the application and starting in the catalog module. Now for this class or this tutorial, you will not need an exact images. However, if you still want to use the same images I'm gonna be using in this video, then easily jump into the description of this video, follow the link there and download the images now. Once you have them ready, add them into the catalog or into the application and we can start. Now the reason why I have two images is that one of them is RAW file, and in this case this is a DNG format. And to double confirm that, when we look at the image details here in the top right corner, you can see the little RAW here. So that's a RAW file. And then we have a simple JPEG representing all the other formats. And as you guessed, the reason why we have the two different formats is that the Edits tab will look a little bit differently for either of the formats. Now saying that, let's have a look at the difference between the formats and also let's talk about the definition of the Edits tab. Well, we have the JPEG selected, so let's take it and bring it into Edit module, where we're gonna go into the Edits tab. Now, just to quickly explain, we are in the Edit module, we have the layers, image preview and main editing toolbar. Here on the top, we are now in the Tools tab and easily we can click on the Edits and move into the Edits tab. Now on your computer, you may don't see the histogram here, so to show it or to see it, you can right click on the image and select Show Histogram. Now I already have it here, so if I click on it, it disappears. And when I right click again and select Show Histogram, it appears. Once it appears, it maybe looks differently. Well, all you need to do is to click on it a few times and get it into the view I have. Now talking about the definition. So the Edits tab is a place where all your edits are stored for that specific layer. Now I will come back to this specific layer later, but basically to show you, we're gonna go into the tools. Let's go ahead and select the very basic Enhance AI and use the Accent AI to bring it up and develop the image a little bit. Once we do that, we can close the Enhance AI tool and now move into the edits. Before we do that, notice the little point here or the little circle, which basically indicates that there are edits applied to this image. So when we click on it, we have the Enhance AI here. So this is a basic example for JPEG file. Now let's go back to the catalog and select the RAW file. Once we do that, let's move it into Edit module, where automatically we're gonna be bringing it into the Edits tab. So as you notice, as you move between the different images, you will remain on the tab that you have used previously. So we can go back to the tools or edits easily by clicking on the heading up here. Now this is a RAW file. I have not applied any edits to it. And when you enter a RAW file into Edit module, the first thing you're going to see is the Noiseless RAW and Develop RAW tools. And the reason is that before you start to apply other editing, usually it's a good practice to do the basic development using these tools. So again, Develop RAW and Noiseless RAW. Now when we go into the Edits tab, you will notice that compared to JPEG, these two tools are already here. We have the section called RAW Edits, again with the Develop RAW and Noiseless RAW. Now this will basically allow you to very easily come back to your image and readjust the basic development. So for example, if I go into the tools, open the Develop RAW, here apply some distortions in optics, maybe make sure that everything is aligned using the Transform tool, and let's say that very quickly I just adjust my highlights, open some shadows, apply a little bit of blacks and whites. then close this, maybe add a little bit of contrast if I want to, and that's about that. Once I'm done with this, I could remove some of the noise using the noiseless raw tool. However, I shot this image with 100 ISO, it was a daylight, so there is no noise there to be removed. So once I'm done with the basic development, I can now go and apply some other tools. For example, on image like this, which is really moody and dramatic, I could go into the creative section where I would open the dramatic tool and very quickly increase the amount and add a little bit of drama to it. Now, the moment I do that, I will lose the access to the raw tools here. As you notice, my develop raw turned into the develop and our noiseless raw turned into basic noiseless AI. So what to do? How can we go back and adjust the basic development? Well, very easily by going into the edits and here go into the raw edits, opening the develop raw tool. And let's say that we want to make it a little bit cooler, so it's a little bit too warm, maybe add a little bit of magenta. And we also want to take care of the sharpness. So let's say that we're going to add 90 on sharpening, 70 on masking. And since we're doing the sharpening, let's also do noise reduction on that kind of standard basic 10 or 15. Once I'm done adjusting the basic development, I will close the develop raw tool, and by doing that, the development will be applied and our edits we have applied later will be applied to the image. Meaning now we have the dramatic tool applied to the photo. Now with that, it's time to come back to the definition of the edits tab, where I mentioned that the edits tab store edits for that specific selected layer. Well, in this moment, it's time to turn our attention towards layers. By default, when you open a new image, your original image and that layer is selected. So let's go ahead, click on plus sign. In my images, I have this glow here, but really it can be any overlay or any element here. Let's select it and add it to the photo. Now we have a new layer on the top of the original image. Well, it's an overlay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna increase the opacity to 100 and change the blend mode from normal into the screen. Basic stuff, right? Now we can just adjust the position, maybe make it a little bit smaller, and let's make it look like we have the sun coming from the side here. So we will do that. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. Now, all of that is fine. However, when I close the layer properties and go into the edits, you will first notice that there is no edits here and also that we don't have access to that raw tools. And that is because we have the layer only with the overlay selected. Now when I click on the original image, you will see we again have access to the raw edits for that raw image and also any edits we have applied earlier to this layer, which in our case is the dramatic tool. So this system has advantages and disadvantages. The advantages is that I can edit and apply different edits to a specific elements and specific layers of the photo without affecting the others. For example, I can select my layer with the sun, go into the tools, then we're gonna go into the color tool in essential section. Here, open the HSL panel, and let's say that we're gonna adjust the actual color of the sun from orange into the yellow. So we will take the slider and just shift it a little bit towards right. Now that looks much better, yeah? And by doing that, we have adjusted the hue of the element. However, we have not changed anything on the original image. So that's the advantage. You can separately adjust the different elements and different layers on your photo or in your project. However, now the disadvantage is that you can't apply a global adjustments to all your layers at the same time. So basically, there is no way for me to apply, for example, something like Enhance AI tool to everything, including the image and the overlay. For you to be able to do that, what you would need to do is to export the image so everything blends and merge together, then bring it back into Luminar NEO and then continue with the edit. So that's it for the definition of the edits tab and the important part that the edits tab stores the edits for that specific selected layer. Now with that, we can actually remove the overlay. So I'm going to right click on it and click on remove layer, and we can return to our original photo. With that being done, we can now close the layer properties because we're working with just that one layer. Quickly go back to edits where we can review what we have here. So again, our raw edits, raw tools, and our new edits here. So far, so good. We just applied the dramatic tool. So let's go ahead and apply a few more things. Let's go to tools and let's see what else we could do. For example, we could apply a little bit of structure AI. So we're going to open the structure AI and basically just shift it a little bit towards the right to add a little bit more clarity and texture to the image. So remember, we're working on that moody look. After that, with the structure AI, let's have a look. We can do vignette a little bit later. So what else we can do? We can add a little bit of mystical tool. So we're going to add a little bit of that glow and fantasy look. Then we can also add a little bit of matte effect just to kind of crush the darks and make it a little bit more cinematic. And since we edit, let's also add a little bit of film grain. So let's do that. Let's say somewhere around 30. Keep an eye on the image to see if that works. I think that looks quite good. So close the film grain, and that's it for the time being. Now let's go into the edits tab and review what we've done here. So you can see one by one. We started with the dramatic tool all the way at the beginning. Then we have applied the structure AI, mystical tool, matte, and also film grain. Now with all the edits being stored here in an order of how you apply them to your photo, you can now very easily open any of the tools that you have applied and adjust the amounts or any adjustments in that tool. Now there are two things that you should notice here. First one, again, is the order of the edits, which will be important later in this tutorial. But even more interesting is the fact that as you select the edit, so for example, the dramatic tool, you will notice that all the tools above it become this kind of gray color. And the reason is that they've been removed. So basically, by clicking through the different tools, you can see the edit at different stages of the editing. So for example, when I click on the mystical tool, what it does, it applies the mystical tool, structure AI, dramatic tool, and the raw edits. So now I can adjust it. However, the matte and grain are grayed out and they are not applied yet. Then you can go ahead, select the matte tool or the film grain, and then see the view with these edits on the photo. Now, knowing that, I have a little secret tip to give you that not many people realize. And that's the fact that you can select a point of your edit. So for example, just with the dramatic tool, and now you can export the image only including the dramatic tool and raw edits. You would export it the traditional way, just right click, export, and export it. After that, you can select another point in your edit. So let's say we would go all the way to the film grain and again export it at this stage. And why would you do this? Well, because then you can compare the images between each other side by side and see which point or which edit you prefer. Now, this is often used when replacing skies or when creating the before and after looks. So, coming back to our edits here, and let's just finish the thought about how they are added. Anytime you use any tool in the editing toolbar, it will be then stored and added into the Edits tab. Now here goes one more secret, and that's the fact that, for example, if I open an Enhance AI, increase it, look at the result, and actually don't like it, so I can remove the Accent AI slider, or I can just click on the Reset button. When I close the Enhance AI tool, it will still be added into your Edits tab. Let me show you. When I go into the Edits, there is the tool here, there is the Edit here, even though there is a 0% or it's resetted to its default value. And why is this information important? Well, because sometimes when we testing different looks, we go through different tools, and it can be actually lots of tools like 10, 15, 20, and we end up not using any of them or only few. where still you can end up with long list of tools being in your list of edits. So definitely something to remember and keep on your mind. Well, to remove the specific tool or a feature from this edit, well, it's very simple. You just click on this little bin next to it and it will be removed. Well, since we already here and talking about the adjustments of the edits, I already show you that you can open any of the tools and go ahead and adjust it using the same slider and same adjustments as in the tools bar. You can also still apply additional masking here if you want, and on the top of it, you have a similar options here as to see the before and after, and you can of course also use the reset button. Once you do that, once you click on reset, you will lose the access to the before and after and the reset, and what you're gonna get is the little bin icon. Once you click on the bin icon, as you seen a moment ago, that specific tool will be removed from the edit. So let's do that. Let's click on the bin one more time, and as you can see, it disappears. Now we can click and go back to the film grain, and we would just continue. If you remove a tool or edit by mistake, immediately after you can use the undo option to bring it back. However, remember that once you move from the edit module into the catalog or preset, you will not be able to use the undo option and you will have to apply the edit again. So before we continue, just to recap what we learned. Anytime you use any of the tools here in the editing toolbar, that edit will be stored in the edits tab. It will be stored in an order of the edits, how you apply them to the image. Now, once you have them here, you can always open any of them, and as you open them, it will bring you to that specific part of editing, graying out the edits above it to show you that state at that specific point. Again, you can adjust any of these tools using the same controllers as usual. You can also see the before and after. You can reset the edit. You can apply masking. And once you reset the edit, you can always click on the bin to remove it completely. If you are not happy with the whole edit, with everything you have applied, you have one more option here, and that's the discard edits. So if you click on that, you will see that all the edits will be removed from the image. But again, there is one more secret here, and that's the fact that if you notice, the tools didn't disappear, they just grayed out. Similarly to when we move through different stages of the edit. So if you now move into the tools and apply new tool, all these tools will disappear and you will start from beginning. However, you can now click on the tool on the top, so the film grain, and that will restore all the editing you have applied. So if you use the discard edits, you can always go back, click on the specific part of the edit or all the way to the top and return it. But as I mentioned, if you click on discard edits, then go into the tools and let's say again apply enhance AI. By doing that, when we now return into the edits, all our edits are gone and we starting from beginning. One more tip here, not only the edits from the edit tools, but also the raw edits. So the discard edit option removes everything. So let's go ahead one more time, click on discard edits and move into the main toolbar. Now being back, it's a good time to answer one of the most common questions I get about the edits tab. And I wonder if you already asked yourself. Well, the question is if the order of the edits on how you apply them to your image matters. And the true and simple answer is yes, it does matter. Let me prove you and let me show you how. So a very basic example. We have this image here. It's kind of dramatic, moody look. The sky isn't great, so I would like to change it. Well, normally what I do, I apply basic development, and immediately after the basic development, I go for the sky AI or sunrise AI or any of these heavy adjustments. And the reason is that after that, I want to be able to apply global adjustments and edit everything that is already on the image. Because if I do it before, it will not be applied to the sky. So let me show you. For example, again, coming back to that dramatic moody look, we're gonna go into the creative section, dramatic tool, and let's really push it to get that really almost scary looking result. So all the way to 65. Now with that, let's close the dramatic tool and let's swap the sky. So very easily here in Luminar NEO, going into the landscape section, sky AI tool, let's go into the sky selection, and in sky selection, you can use one of the skies that come with the application, or you can get our Sky Ultimate Bundle, which I tell you a little bit more later on in this video. So let's go for the presets here and let's just choose one of the skies here. So this looks quite good. I think we're gonna select this one. Moving quickly into Sky Orientation tab. Here, click on Flip. Yeah, that looks quite good. Adjust the horizon position somewhere around here. And with that being done, let's click on Scene Relighting, increase the relight strength and a little bit of relight saturation. A simple stuff, right? Just adding a new sky. Close the Sky AI and look at the image. Now looking at it, you can see how it doesn't look realistic. We have all this drama, all this contrast, clarity, and heavy blacks applied to the original photo, and it's not applied to the sky. The sky doesn't really match with the rest of the scene. So what we should have done is to apply the sky first and then only apply the dramatic tool. So let me show you. Let's go into Edits tab. Again, click on Discard Edits. By the way, you don't have to keep coming back here. You can also just click on the actions in the bottom left corner and click on Revert to Original. With that, back to Tools. And now, again, we would apply basic development, but let's not worry about it. And let's move straight into the Sky AI tool. We're gonna do that. We're gonna go into the sky selection. Again, dramatic skies, and let's select the same sky as earlier. It will take a moment and it will replace the sky for us. And to keep the same example, let's go into the sky orientation, flip the sky, adjust the horizon position. Now it doesn't have to be exact, but just to make sure. And finally, scene relighting, increase the relight strength and relight saturation. So now we have swapped the sky. But this time we're gonna apply the dramatic tool after the sky replacement. So let's go into the creative section, dramatic tool, and increase the amount. And just like that, you can see that that tool and that edit is applied globally to the entire image. And that has a great benefit because now you're blending all the new layers and elements together. So back to the question, does it matter when you apply specific tools to your photo? Well, you just seen an example that it does. Now to make it easier for you, the way I would edit the image, again, I would start with the basic development and maybe apply a little bit of the tools here in the essential section. Then, as I mentioned, I would go and do the heavy editing, if you're going to do them. Replace the sky, add the sun rays, maybe even add some fog using the atmosphere AI, and so on. Once finished with that, then only I would continue with the other tools available in the application. Things like your mood tool with the LUTs, toning tool, dramatic tool, mystical tool, and so on. Now, before we're going to finish, I have two more things I want to show you. First one, let's talk about the limitations that comes with the Edits tab. Well, as of July 2024, there are few things you still can't do and I wish we would be able to do. First one, you can't move the edits around. So, as I told you, there is an order of the edits and they will be added as you apply them to your image. But it would be great to be able to just drag them and push them around. So that's the first thing. Second thing I would really love to see is to be able to rename the edits here or add notes. So for example, if I would apply the dramatic tool only to the house or to the specific part of the image, I would love to be able to add a note here. So then when I come back, I can immediately see what I was editing with this specific tool. And finally, one more thing I would like to see here is to be able to duplicate that effect. And the second and final thing I want to talk to you about is using the Edit tab and Presets. To start with, one thing you need to realize is that anytime you apply a preset to the image, I mean at any stage of your edit, it will remove all the edits from your Edit tab and from that image, and it will start from beginning with the look created with that preset. So basically, you can't stack the edits on top of each other. When you apply the presets, it will reset the image and apply only what is built in the preset. To show you, we have the dramatic, sky, and also some of the raw edits here. And now when we go into the presets, and let's see what we have here on the recommendation, maybe dramatic landscapes could work. So we're gonna select that. And just in a moment, we're gonna get actual preview of the edit so we can hover over the actual image and see what we like. So maybe, let's have a look. Some of them are a little bit too strong, so we're gonna go for Silent Serenity, select it. Once you select it, you can adjust the strength of the preset. And with that being done, we can now return into the Edit module. Once we return and we move into the Edit tab, well, we're already there. As I mentioned at the beginning, you will remain in the same position as your previous edit. And looking at the edits here, you will notice that our dramatic tool and our sky replacement was removed, and now we have a whole set of new edits and new tools applied to the image. However, the good thing is that while you have applied certain edits using the preset, you can adjust them based on your liking here in the Edits module. So, for example, we can add more of the vignette, and we can click on Choose Subject and move it around. We can adjust the center of the vignette, so we can create a little nice dark gradient in the foreground. We can also move into the dramatic tool and maybe add a little bit more of it if we want to. Also, we can always go into the raw edits here and really make sure that it's developed right by going into optics, just checking that on, maybe adding more sharpening, masking on 70, yes, noise reduction again on 15, that looks good. And once happy, back to the original edit created by the preset, adjusted to this specific photo. By the way, just before we really finish, I want to remind you that this tutorial was powered by our Luminar NEO Essential Preset Bundle. Regardless if you're just building and starting your preset library, or if you're looking for new inspiration for your looks, this bundle includes 41 preset collections and over 410 incredible Luminar NEO presets. Right now, it's available with special discount, and if you want to get it, just follow the link in the description of this video, or to find out more about it, head to our website, cleverphotographer.com. And just like that, we are finished with today's tutorial. If you enjoyed it, make sure that you give it a like, and also don't forget to ask any questions about today's tutorial or Luminar NEO in overall in the comment section of this video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our future content. For today, my name was Jakub, and I already can't wait to see you in the next video.